Today we're going to be making some pickled jalapenos, and these are some gorgeous jalapenos. These are a very special variety, my CC jalapeno, the ChilliChump jalapeno. These are ones I've been developing over a number of years, and they're available if you do want to buy seeds in my seed store, ChilliChumpseeds.com. Just look at the size of these things. They are massive. It's quite easy to make a big chili. What's difficult is maintaining the flavor and the spice. Now, I wanted to develop a chili that was firstly very big because you get a lot more out of it, and also it's just a lot easier to process when they are bigger. Number two, I wanted a chili that is going to be much hotter than your typical jalapeno, and these definitely have a lot of spice. And number three, I wanted something that was going to harvest very early on, and well, as we can see, we've got some very early harvests. I'm going to be sharing a recipe that I've already actually shared on my channel. If you do want to see a quick video on just this recipe, then there'll be a link down below to the original one. Now, of course, I do this commercially. I make hot sauces and dried spices and things like that. And if you are interested in checking that out, go to ChilliChump.com/shop. And the problem that I have, though, is the equipment you can buy. Commercial equipment is typically way too big for my space here. I'm in a space that, well, it's about the size of a double garage because that's what it used to be. I have to try and work out what equipment works best. Now, if I use your typical home equipment, so residential type equipment, that's not going to be good enough for doing things commercially because it's just going to burn out motors. And I have done that with quite a few bits and pieces that I've had in the past. One of the challenges I have is processing large amounts of chilies into mash and things like that, or blending up my sauces. That can be a bit of a process, so I'm always on the lookout for something that will work out for me. So I went and bought this machine over here. This is a Buffalo food processor. Now, I kind of screwed up a little bit here, but at the end of the day, I think it'll work out okay because we'll show you something else we're going to do with it. This is a 5-liter container. The problem is you can't fill it up to 5 liters. So let's take this off here. This is for chili sauces, not for making pickled jalapenos. That's coming in just a second. So inside here, you can see a bit of a food processor. Now, this is never going to blend as fine as what my Vitamix will blend, but the Vitamix can do about 1.5 to 2 liters at a time. Now, this thing I assume could do 5 liters, but it cannot. So unfortunately, it's not going to do the job for what I originally was going to get it for. There are some things that I could still use it for, some of the dry stuff that I'm going to be blending up, veggies and that sort of stuff, but that's for later. The other little trick it has up its sleeve, which is going to be very useful for today, is this little gadget, which sits on top here. I haven't tried it out yet, so you're going to try it out with me. Now, if you are doing this at home, this might be a bit overkill. Maybe get a Kenwood or something. This is basically a food processor. I believe it goes that way. So, it's a beast. We'll put this down for a second. It comes off. Now, again, with the quantity I'm doing today, I probably could do it with my Kenwood. But I do want to test this out because if I'm going to be selling these pickled jalapenos, then I need something that's going to be able to process a lot quite quickly. That just slots in there and screws in. So while I'm screwing that in, the other thing it does is it'll come in handy a little bit later on this season when I make my kimchi. And that is it has a grater as well. So it's similar sort of attachments that you'd get with your Kenwood. But if you're doing quite a bit of slicing, then that'll be tedious. And I don't think it's really good for the Kenwood if you're running that all day long. Let's get it back in there. The motor on this is a beast, apparently. So there's 2 ways to run this. Hopefully the camera can see. Let's see if we can. Heavy. But if you look in there, you can see there's a big hole, so you can put a bunch of things in there. But you also got this hole here if you do want to do little bits, which I'm going to be using this one. So this slots in there just to keep it down so things don't pop out that hole. I'm guessing, yeah, a lot of this because, like I said, first time I'm using this, I have given it a bit of a clean, of course. But yeah, there we go. So we're going to shove the jalapenos through there. We're going to collect them in a tray. It's going to be interesting. doing things for the first time on camera is not always a good idea. Hopefully it doesn't just throw things everywhere. Yeah, the benefit of this, if you are looking at doing this, I think this, even those of you that are doing this at home, I know there's a lot of you that reach out to me. This is why I'm doing this video. A lot of you reach out to me that are doing this commercially, even at the quantities I'm doing it at, or maybe even more than I am. A lot of you even doing it in your kitchen. You're making things like cowboy candy, pickled jalapenos, things like that, and you're doing it for markets or for commercial, online, whatever. This sort of machine, I think, is just, it takes things to the next level. It is a bit of an investment, but Kenwoods aren't cheap. Most food processors aren't cheap. You can get quite cheap ones, but believe me, those are going to burn out. You're going to end up buying them multiple times. I like to buy things properly once. Not always the case. I end up buying some other rubbish as well. But anyway, let's get going here. Thankfully, it's not too loud. I'm going to be battling to breathe. Wow. I have a feeling I was meant to leave this in. Wow. I'm going to need my extractor fan on. Whew. Excuse that noise. Like I said, I guess it's like working with animals and children. Don't test things live on camera. It's going to be a mess, isn't it? See, I thought this was just a placeholder, but no, it's meant to be in there. Idiot Sean. Okay, take two. So this is when you know I don't hide stuff from you guys. You get to see my little disasters. I could just go and cut all this and not show you, but hey, where's the fun in that? Excuse me. Wow. Who knew I could get a reaction like this from jalapenos? Well, I'm happy with that, except for all the coughing. Oh. Okay, I'll be back in 1 second. Let me just get my breath back and let's let the air in here clear out. So the recipe for this is quite simple. It is absolutely delicious, but it is simple. Black pepper, we need some of that. I'll put the full amounts up on the screen over here. We've got some honey. That's the little secret ingredient here. Instead of using sugar, because typically with a pickled jalapeno recipe, you'd use a bit of sugar, but a little bit of honey instead makes it taste brilliant. We've got some garlic. We're going to put in quite a bit of that in there. Some salt, of course. We've got some distilled white vinegar. Now you can use some other vinegars if you like. You can experiment for my recipe and for what I'm trying to develop here, because basically today I'm just testing out larger batches just to see what I'm going to do commercially with this at a later stage. There are a few little changes I'm going to make to this for the commercial batch of this, but obviously for yourself doing this at home, the recipe I'm showing you here, it's brilliant and it'll last you like years. I mean, 2 years on the shelf, no problem at all, as long as you keep everything nicely sterilized. We've got some water, that's the final ingredient, and of course our beautiful jalapenos. I'm gonna have to use a bigger pot. I was gonna go with my smaller one, but yeah, we're gonna have to go with the beast. Again, anytime you're doing anything somewhat commercially, it all gets a little bit expensive. Let me get rid of this and we'll start processing all these ingredients, get them into the pot and start making some pickled jalapeno. So basically the process I just showed you there, we're getting this liquid and all the ingredients up to a boil first. Once it starts to simmer, Then add your jalapenos. Let it come up to a simmer again for about 30 seconds after it starts simmering, and then switch it off and we're ready to bottle. Now we are going to be bottling this hot, so please be very careful. Also, when you are using these Kilner type jars or ball jars, make sure you use a new one of these caps. They're not expensive. Don't reuse old ones. It's not good. Well, we bottled up or canned our jalapenos and they're looking absolutely gorgeous. Now, the hard part is to wait. You've got to wait about a week, unless you're impatient like me. You can eat it straight away. But if you wait a week, it's just going to taste so much better. But I'm going to be giving it a little try now. I know this is going to be spicy. I know it's just jalapenos, but man, these CC jalapenos are no joke. We kept a few pieces aside. So good. That's got a lot of spice. I mean, listen, I eat some of the hottest chilies in the world, but that's making me sweat a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but absolutely delicious. It's just going to come together so much more when you give it some time, let it all percolate. All those flavors will really come through, but it's a lovely balanced pickle, not too acidic, not too sweet, maybe a little too spicy for some if you're using these chilies. But, you know, the thing is, most jalapenos these days aren't actually as spicy as they used to be, which is one of the reasons I wanted to create a beautiful jalapeno like this. But I'm really pleased with that. So do give us a try. I want to hear down below in the comments if you do. And, you know, obviously I'm a bit biased, but I think it tastes absolutely fantastic. Nice to know that the Buffalo food processor is not going to be a complete waste. I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to make the most of my investment there. But I think if all I'm doing is processing vegetables like this, I think I could even process my chilies for my fermentations as well with that. We'll test that out a little bit later in the season when we start our new fermentations, but I'm pretty pleased with it. Nice little machine. I just wish I could find a blender that was around the 5 to 10 liter mark. If you do know of one and you may be using one at home, or you work in a commercial kitchen or something like that, let me know please down in the comments below. The only size up that I can actually see that will do the job, it's a massive thing. It's bigger than the size of this pot that I've got on the stove here. You know, we're talking like 30 liters or something. That's just way too big for what I'm doing here. So yeah, if you do know of one, let me know in the comments down below. I'm definitely interested in having a look. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, stay spicy. I'm sweating.